Imagine a quiet kid from South Dakota. No fancy coach, no big city training facility, just a pool table and a dream. Now, imagine that same kid grows up to win over 100 professional titles, wins the World 8-Ball Championship, wins the World 9-Ball Championship, dominates the game for 2 straight decades. Oh, and one more thing. He did all of this completely deaf. This is the story of Shane Van Boening, the man they call the South Dakota Kid. And the reason, no matter how hard they try, nobody can beat him. Now, before we get into his story, let me give you a few numbers just to set the scene. 100 professional titles, at minimum. 6-time Player of the Year, Player of the Decade for the entire 2010s, a record-tying 5 U.S. Open 9-ball championships. And in November 2024, he was inducted into the Billiard Congress of America Hall of Fame, the highest honor in American pool. But here's what makes this different from every other sports story. Shane Van Boening didn't come from money. He didn't come from a powerhouse program. He came from a pool hall in Rapid City, South Dakota. Population, just over 70,000 people. And he couldn't hear a single sound in that pool hall. Not the crack of the break, not the crowd going wild, not even his own name being called as champion. So how does a deaf kid from the middle of nowhere become completely untouchable? That answer starts a long, long time ago. Shane Van Boening was born on July 14th, 1983. Rapid City, South Dakota. Small town, big skies, not much else. But his family? They ran a pool hall. So before most kids were learning to ride bikes, Shane was learning to read at table. And here's where it gets interesting. Being deaf didn't slow him down. If anything, it made him sharper. See, when you can't hear the world around you, you start to see things differently. Every angle, every ball, every inch of that felt. Shane processed the game in a way most players never could. While others heard the noise of the crowd, Shane heard nothing, just pure, uninterrupted focus. By his teenage years, he was already destroying grown men at the table, winning national amateur titles. 3-time VNEA National Amateur 8-Ball Champion. People started whispering his name. Who is this kid? Where did he come from? But Shane wasn't done surprising people, not even close. But let's not skip over the hard part, because there was a hard part. Imagine walking into a professional tournament surrounded by legends of the game, players who've been competing internationally for years, and you're just a quiet kid from South Dakota wearing a hearing aid. Some people doubted him. Some didn't take him seriously. Pool is a game of communication, reading your opponent, picking up on nerves, feeling the energy in the room. And here was Shane, cut off from all of it. Then came the early professional grind, the long drives to tournaments, the close losses that stung. In 2007, he reached the final of the BCA Open 9-Ball Championship. He was right there, and then he lost. Just like that, gone. Most players would have crumbled, packed up, gone home, questioned everything. But Shane Van Boening, he drove to the next tournament, same week, and what happened next changed everything. October 2007, Chesapeake, Virginia, the U.S. Open 9-Ball Championship, one of the most prestigious events in all of pool. Shane Van Boening walks in, 24 years old, hungry, focused. He tears through the entire field, match after match, player after player. Nobody can stop him. And in the final, he faces Renato Alcano, a Filipino champion, a seasoned veteran, the kind of opponent designed to break young players. But Shane doesn't blink. He dismantles Alcano 13 frames to 10. The crowd erupts. Shane Van Boening, the deaf kid from Rapid City, is the US Open champion. But here's what nobody tells you about that moment. Shane couldn't hear that crowd roaring his name. He couldn't hear the announcer calling him champion. He felt the vibration of the room. He saw the faces, the tears, the standing ovation, and in that silence, he smiled. Because this was only the beginning. After that 2007 US Open win, something clicked. Like a machine that finally found its rhythm. Shane Van Boening didn't just win again, he won over and over and over. US Open 9-ball champion, US Open 9-ball champion again, US Open 9-ball champion 3 in a row. The pool world was stunned. Then, 2016, he wins it a 5th time, tying the legendary Earl Strickland's all-time record, a record that had stood for decades. And it wasn't just the US Open. He was named Player of the Year 6 times by both Billiards Digest and AZ Billiards. In 2020, they didn't even debate it. They named him Player of the Decade for the entire 2010s, the whole decade, his. By this point, opponents weren't just trying to beat him, they were trying to survive him. Every tournament, every table, every format, Shane showed up and Shane dominated. But there was still one title missing, one crown he hadn't claimed, and it was eating him alive. For years, the World Championship haunted Shane. He'd get close, so painfully close. 2017, World 9-ball final, lost. 2018, World 9-ball final, lost again. Same opponent, Albin Ushan, Austria's finest. Twice on the biggest stage, heartbreak. The critics started talking. Maybe he just can't win the big one. Maybe Shane Van Boening has a ceiling. But Shane remembered every single word. Then came April 2022, the WPA World 9-ball Championship. Shane Van Boening versus Albin Ushan. The rematch 4 years in the making. The crowd knew exactly what was at stake. Shane knew too. He destroyed Ushan, 13 frames to 6, demolished him. 4 years of pain released in one performance. But then, just 1 year later, 2023, Shane enters the WPA World 8-ball Championship, his favorite game, the one closest to his heart. He battles through the entire field, reaches the final, faces Bosnia's Sanjin Pehelivanovic, and wins 10 frames to 7. World 9-ball champion, World 8-ball champion. Back-to-back years, the man had finally conquered everything. So what actually makes Shane Van Boening unbeatable? Because it's not just talent. Every pro on that tour has talent. It's something deeper, something different. First, his cue ball control. Most players think about the shot in front of them. Shane thinks 3, 4, 5 shots ahead, like a chess grandmaster who happens to hold a pool cue. Every single ball he pots sets up the next one perfectly. It's not luck, it's architecture. Then there's his break shot. Powerful, precise, absolutely devastating. When Shane breaks, balls don't just scatter, they go exactly where he needs them. But here's the secret weapon most people miss, his safety play. When Shane can't run the table, he doesn't gamble. He locks his opponent down, traps them, suffocates them, makes them make the mistake. And through all of it, that ice-cold composure. No emotion, no reaction, just silence. Remember, he can't hear the crowd pressure. He can't hear opponents trying to get in his head. In the most nerve-wracking moments in pool, Shane Van Boening is playing in complete quiet. And that is the most terrifying advantage in sports. Now here's what makes this story even more incredible. Shane Van Boening isn't slowing down, not even a little. In March 2024, he wins the Premier League pool title, defeating 5 elite international opponents, taking home $20,000 and another crown. Then, November 2024, the moment the entire pool community had waited for. Shane Van Boening is inducted into the Billiard Congress of America Hall of Fame, the highest honor American pool can give. But wait, because 2025? 2025 was something else entirely. Shane wins the U.S. Open 8-Ball Championship, then turns around and wins the U.S. Open 10-Ball Championship, his 6th title in that event, a new outright record, all his. And if that wasn't enough, he earns his 19th consecutive Mosconi Cup selection for Team USA. 19 years in a row. No other player in history comes close. He's 41 years old, Hall of Famer, record breaker, still competing, still winning, while younger players study his matches, trying desperately to figure out how to stop him. Spoiler alert, they haven't figured it out yet. So let's come back to that quiet kid, the one in the Rapid City pool hall. Couldn't hear a thing, didn't have famous coaches or big sponsorships, just had heart, focus, and an obsession with the game. Shane Van Boening didn't just build a career, he built something far bigger than that. He showed every deaf kid watching that silence isn't a weakness, it's a superpower. He showed every small-town dreamer that geography doesn't define your ceiling. He showed the entire sports world that the greatest disability you can have isn't physical, it's giving up. Over 100 titles, 2 world championships, a Hall of Fame plaque, records that may never be broken, and a legacy that stretches far beyond a pool table. Other players have tried to dethrone him. Champions from Europe, Asia, Latin America, all of them brilliant, talented, driven, and all of them have walked away from that table, shaking their heads. Because here's the truth about Shane Van Boening. He doesn't just play pool better than everyone else, he lives pool better than everyone else, every single day. The South Dakota kid, born deaf, raised in a pool hall, became the greatest of his generation. And somewhere right now, he's probably still practicing, still perfecting, still proving that nobody, absolutely nobody, can beat this 8-ball genius.